will dominate over everybody because they're in a majority. Then we say that the majority will still trump under your system, ladies and gentlemen, and trump even worse. Why? Simply because of this. They're the ones who have all the money, power, and influence in society, ladies and gentlemen. They're the ones who run the courts. They're the ones who stand in parliament, ladies and gentlemen. They're the ones who run governments. There has never been a non-Christian American president, ladies and gentlemen. And the reason for that is this. And the effect of that is this, ladies and gentlemen, that your laws, which you try to enact to protect religion, will end up protecting Christianity disproportionately, ladies and gentlemen. The Muslims will still not be protected anyway. And any criticism which a Muslim person levels against Christianity, ladies and gentlemen, will go unanswered. It won't be penalized anyway. No, thank you. Let's go on to my substantives, ladies and gentlemen. The first substantive is going to be on how this harms the right not to believe in religion, ladies and gentlemen, because it undermines the separation between church and state. Why? Firstly, because it grants extra recognition to religion, ladies and gentlemen, recognition and protection. Now, what's the effect of that? The effect is, firstly, that you harm atheists disproportionately, ladies and gentlemen, because Richard Dworkin would never have been able to publish things like the God Delusion. Secondly, ladies and gentlemen, it undermines the right not to believe in religion because it allows pro-religious speech, but not anti-religious speech, ladies and gentlemen. This is essentially the government unfairly biasing the debate of whether to believe in religion in the first place in favor of believing in religion, because you can say whatever you want in favor of it, but nothing against. Secondly, ladies and gentlemen, it actually harms religions themselves. Why? Because a lot of religions define themselves partially internally and partially externally. I'll take you in a moment. What do I mean by partially externally? It means that religions also define themselves in opposition to others. They say, ladies and gentlemen, that we are what we are, unlike those people with those terrible practices. Joey.
So, as you characterize, the discrimination is so entrenched, there's such a majority of people believing in it. Don't you think this is exactly the kind of situation where we need government intervention to send out the correct message that otherwise would not have organically evolved?
Yeah, I am not sure you just heard me, sir, because what I said was that you're undermining religion's freedom itself, ladies and gentlemen, because now they can't define themselves, ladies and gentlemen. Secondly, we say, the second substantive I want to bring to you is that we need a check and balance against religion. Because of all of the things I named at the beginning of my speech, ladies and gentlemen, we need to recognize that religions are not perfect. Now, what happens when religions are not perfect? The state can't intervene to check that, ladies and gentlemen, because of the separation of church and state. So the only check and balance we have against abuse by religion, against unfair practices by religion, ladies and gentlemen, is speech. Because without speech, you can never express the fact of abuse within religions, ladies and gentlemen, of unfair practices within religion. So the only check and balance you have, ladies and gentlemen, is speech. To change religions, to make them more tolerant, ladies and gentlemen, by having an open discussion of what is good about that religion, or what is bad about that religion, ladies and gentlemen. You need that criticism, you need that check and balance. You need religions to sometimes step back and say, oh yes, my practices are basically deprecated by the majority of society. Is there something I am doing wrong? You need that check and balance. The check and balance has to be speech, because it cannot be the government. We stand proudly in proposition.
Speaker spoke for 7 minutes and 12 seconds. I thank the member of closing government for his speech. Now I'd like to call upon the member of closing opposition to further the case for the opposition.
Removed from the context of the real world, surrounded by polite company, it's very easy to forget that their proposal is going to send our society into the toilet. This debate is not about someone saying, I think it's unfair that the Catholic Church doesn't have female priests. This debate is not about someone going that I think the church should be more accepting of homosexuals. This debate is about the Danish cartoons. This debate is about Guy Wilders. Because those are the issues that religion took insult to. That's where you saw the uproar. Don't take it from me, take it from the protesters on the street. Because that's where they got insulted. Because for them to come out here and say that expression of any idea that might be contrary to religion is therefore going to be deemed as insult, is for them to take the debate into a realm it doesn't belong. You guys should be defending those guys, Mr. Speaker. Because what we think you've done in today's debate is you've allowed every bigot, every hater out there in society to wrap themselves in the Constitution and say, those that are hurt, you're the bad guys. And that's what we're going to extend today's debate on. Because we're fundamentally saying that the states have a responsibility to protect people from emotional violence. What will I do for you? Firstly, I would like to correct some mischaracterizations that came from that side of the house. Secondly, I'd like to talk about the value of religious identity because they poo-pooed on it in the opening of the government. Then I want to talk about emotional violence, Mr. Speaker, because I think it's something that they've almost taken this blank check, right? They go, oh, as long as you're not stabbed because of it, it's okay that it happens, right? We don't think that a democratic society should set such a low bar for itself. So, going to just the mischaracterizations first. Firstly, when we talk about the subjectivity of offense, firstly we say this is going through a court system, so we make decisions on that all the time. When it comes to libel, slander, when it comes to insult to race, and when it comes to the instigation of violence, something that you agreed was wrong, ladies and gentlemen. Secondly, they talked about, and this was in the member of government for him. In the member of government speech, where he said it will unevenly be applied, that the majority will apply this more. We say more likely